Board of Supervisors meeting to order. We're back in from recess. We had a budget work session at 5 to 7. We'll move right in on our agenda. We have Pastor Andrew Davis here from Fellowship Baptist Church to do our invocation. And I ask everybody please stand and remain standing for the pledge. Pastor Davis.
Gracious and loving Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. I spent some time today just thinking about this, Lord, and how privileged and blessed we are to be able to come together and govern ourselves like we do. I thank you for every one of these gentlemen that are sitting up here, Lord. They're all intelligent men. They all have their specialties, Lord. They all are assets to this community. But more than anything else today, Lord, what they need, what I need, what all of us sitting in this room need today is wisdom. And I pray that you'd grant it, Lord, that decisions might be made, Lord, that would please you first and foremost, but also would be to the benefit of the citizens of Wythe County. So, Lord, may everything that's done tonight please you. Thank you for the opportunity we have. Thank you for this time we have to come together. I pray that you'd use it and be with the rest of this evening as we've had our primaries today. And I pray that you'd just touch our leaders in an unusual way. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome everyone. We move right on into our agenda. We have citizens' time, and I have passed sheets to Mr. Willis on the citizens' time and the public hearing we'll be having shortly. And Mr. Willis.
All right, first person that signed up, Mr. John Humphrey.
Good evening, Mr. Humphrey.
I appreciate the forum. You guys letting me speak this evening. My understanding, I have like 3 minutes on the subject, so I'll try to speed it up. I understand this thing. I may be a little late on the tax proposed increase to personal property and real estate. I'll just come here tonight to ask y'all to not raise our taxes. If you go out 21 South or Ivanhoe or downtown Max Meadows, this county has a lot of poor people. And being a farmer, ever since I was old enough to hold a pitchfork, and I've been a police officer for 30 years. I've had a unique ability, opportunity to go in all the schools. Scott, Spiller, and George Wythe. They're well staffed. There's clean buildings. I think more of a concern is our curriculum and the substance of what these kids are learning, not so much the structure they're in. My dad started out in school in a 2-room building. He turned out just fine. And I just humbly ask you all to not raise our taxes. With all my expenses as a farmer, when I pay somebody to cut and rake and bale my hay, all my other farm expenses, and the $2,300 a year personal property tax, I make nothing. And I think we'd be a big detriment as leaders of the community not to have our farmers, and I'm seeing it every day. The older people's dying off, and the place is being sold or whatever. So, I have empathy for the school kids. I want the best for the school kids, but I don't think in our small community that that's the best way for us to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Humphrey.
Next person signed up is Mr. Robert Shook.
Good evening, Mr. Shook.
Good evening, sir. How are you all this evening? I'm coming today on an issue that's just cropped up since Memorial Day, and it has to do with a neighboring property where people have, in essence, established a firing range or gun range. And we have a concern in that we had no idea this was coming. We have no idea how they're operating because it's on somebody else's property. We don't know what their target is that they're shooting. I understand it's long-range guns, but they're shooting from a very prominent point on top of a hill that overlooks my home and several others in the neighborhood. And I took the time to look up design criteria for a shooting range, which they essentially are establishing a shooting range because they've been there 5 or 6 times since Memorial Day. If this was, once in a blue moon and everybody gathering on a Saturday, no big deal. I like to shoot as well as anybody. But if you're coming again and again and again to the same place, in effect, you're establishing a shooting range. And we would like to find out if there's been any consideration given for the safety of the neighborhood where they're shooting, because this is evidently a long-range situation. My home sits 600 feet from where they have their tent. There's no retaining wall. There's nothing to abate noise. There's nothing to abate an accidental discharge. There's essentially no safety criteria been established, and we just like to have somebody look into that to see if there is something that can be done to make. If they're going to have it, then it needs to be made safe for the people around us. And I took the time to get a 50-page document, which you're welcome to have. I mean, it's free on the internet. But on one of the diagrams in the back, cutting to the chase, it shows the baseline for the safety zone. Well, the safety zone has a shoulder that goes 200 meters, which is 219 yards, out to either side of the main point of firing. And depending on where they are that their targets are established, my home is well within that 200-meter shoulder. So I would just like to ask that the board look into this and just ensure that it is a safe environment for us and the other neighborhood people.
Okay, we'll look in that, Mr. Shook.
Okay.
I know we don't have an ordinance that anything that resembles covers a
Well, this,
shooting range.
again, it's just this is not an ordinance. This was just design criteria for establishing.
I mean, as far as the county goes,
Right,
we don't
I
have
understand.
anything right now that Stephen.
And Mr. Shook, this is something that you said it just recently started.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we weren't aware of it until the guns started going off on Memorial Day. So, there was no consultation with the neighborhood or anything.
What is your address?
322 Lots Gap Road.
Is it on the same side of the road that you're on, or is it
Yes, sir.
across same side?
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, Mr. Humphrey's field joins mine, and then his field joins the neighbor.
Is it
So-
Danner property?
Yes, sir.
Is that where it is?
Yes, sir.
Danner property?
I understand that the county has a shooting range established on the back end of the property, which is, as far as I know, the safest place in the world. But this one is more towards Danner Road and the intersection with Lots Gap Road and up high on a hill, which we can see the tents from my back porch. So,
So it's not for the sheriff's department to shoot?
no, not at all.
It's different.
Not at all.
I placed a phone call, and my understanding, and I don't know if the officer has any information, it's not what's happened in the shooting range for the deputies and others that have been there. It's not been a problem.
No,
Apparently
never.
there is some type of long-range rifle shooting or something that's going on there, and it's closer up to the Lots Gap Road area from the
Yes, sir.
proximity of where they're shooting.
Yes, sir. I like guns. I love to shoot as well as anybody, but I do try to ensure that I'm in a safe place, and I would like the same consideration.
Well, are there any applicable state laws? I mean,
I haven't had time to look that up. I don't know, sir.
But we'll look into it and
Okay.
see.
Let me ask you,
Yeah.
was the sheriff contact?
I believe my wife talked to him,
What was his answer?
that he couldn't do anything. I think that's what he told her.
Did he know it was going on?
He was going on at the time. He could hear it on the phone.
You mean you could hear the guns firing when she was talking to him?
Yeah, she could hear it. He could hear it through the phone, and she's standing in the house.
Okay. We'll see what we can do about it, Mr. Sheriff.
Thank you very much.
Next, Ms. Meyer.
Good evening, gentlemen. I tried to do some research. I don't know what a compressed-based salary is. And is that going to be something that's different than the salary schedule that was published with the budget?
That has to do with the comp board.
It's with the compensation board?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not another term of
County
whatever.
board.
So the salary schedule will reflect the increases?
Yeah, I mean, it's their increase, and it'll be their salary, but it's all comp board state
Okay,
is doing it,
all right.
not the county.
All right, thank you.
For clarification, what had previously been provided does not include the compression-based increases.
It does not?
It does not. Those will be in addition to that, but it's state funds that comes in, and it's going only to the sheriff's office deputies.
Thank you.
That's all.
Okay, yes, Mr. Humphries,
Just want to speak briefly on the thing.
I'm on that.
Like Mr. Shook said, this started happening on Memorial Day with this shooting. It's just incessant. I'm very familiar with the noise ordinance, as we enforce that all the time in the town. I would encourage the county to do that. All it takes is just a reasonableness standard for an officer to go and evaluate each situation. And this shooting that he's speaking of is incessant for about 3 hours. And when I heard it off, I was sleeping in my basement, and probably another 400 yards away from him, and it sounded like cannons going off. And my farm abuts the Danner farm. There was no one told me about anything about this. I was alarmed as anybody else, and I do have safety issues, concerns for the wildlife. He has cattle. I have cattle. I'm oftentimes working on the fence line. I just think there's also some case law I've read on this too about this unapproved, like range or whatever, and I deem it as a public nuisance. There's no public anything void this is solving, and I think it classic fits the thing. Just like the last instance we had with this guy that wouldn't turn off the siren. It's the same type thing. It's a public nuisance. It's incessant, and I think the sheriff's department should look at it, maybe in line with the noise ordinance. And I tried to go up and record, but like I said, I'm just now learning a little bit about Facebook. I'm way technologically advanced, so I couldn't get it to record. But guys, it's I can tell you my credibility is really bad. So high volume rifle shooting from hilltop to hilltop.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
We'll look into it. Yes, sir. Would you please state,
I'm up here with the same problem these gentlemen have.
please state your name and address?
My name is Mickey Hilton, 843 Banlieue Road, and I spoke with Coy about the problem we have. What we have is the same thing, excessive shooting all day long, and they're making like bombs. I mean, it goes, they're doing something, and it actually rattles the windows in the house when they're doing it. And it goes almost every weekend. It's been going on, except, during, like I had a funeral in Ivanhoe, and they said we couldn't even hear the preacher for going off over there. We're just across the river from Ivanhoe, and it's the same thing that they're talking about. And
Is this every weekend, Mickey?
Huh?
Is this every weekend?
Pretty much every weekend. Maybe not the real loud bombs, but the shooting goes on just about every weekend, just continuous.
I turned that over to you, I believe, Stephen, and
Yeah, they looked at, I guess you're the individual or several that had concerns back, some time back.
Yeah.
That there was some shooting going on.
It wasn't just shooting.
Like explosives.
Cannons,
Yeah.
bombs, mushroom cloud
Yeah, I
going up.
don't know what they're doing, but
Can't be legal.
it's loud. It'll rattle the windows in the house when it.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to hear comments on a noise ordinance here in about 5 or 10 minutes. So
Okay.
we'll give everybody the opportunity again to speak for the noise ordinance or against the noise ordinance.
All right.
Okay. Would anybody else like to speak during citizens' time? Please state your name and your address, please.
Yes, sir. Robert Jackson, 684 Van Loo Road. And I just want to iterate what Mickey has said and some of the other gentlemen that spoke about shooting. I'm not opposed to shooting, but it's just too excessive, too long. It goes on too long, and I mean, you probably could have heard it here in Wythe. I don't know what they do, whether it's legal. I talked to Coy about this, and then I talked to the administrator about it, and they said they's going to have something about this, but it's just the mushroom. When people come out of the houses up above us, and then they said, what in the world is this? I don't know. It's some concoction they're probably getting off of the internet, is what I think. And they got long guns. They got long guns besides pistols. And then they get in these four-wheelers or side-by-side carts, and they got trails cut all through their property. And they got these things set up. And by golly, let me tell you, when they hit them, it's on. It is pitiful. It's really scary. It'll rattle the windows in your house, and it's really too much. I called the state trooper. State trooper come. He said, I'll go talk to him. He come. He went over and talked to him. They said, well, that they would try to cut back on it some. But since the trooper come and went over and talked to the people, it has curtailed some. I think it helped, but I think this noise ordinance is something that's really greatly needed. And he also stated that it was needed in the county. So they got a lot of reports on that. But I think it's something that should be really looked into, and thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask you a question, Bob, before you go? These people are from somewhere besides
They
here?
from here in Wythe, but they normally from West Virginia, Bluefield, West Virginia. Their father built them these two big, magnificent homes there on the river, and they cut trails in there, and they go anywhere in there, and they got these things set up. You can actually hear the bullet hit that thing, and just at that impact, I mean, Coy, it's unreal. Well, I tell you what they do. They set off so many blasts over there at the limestone place, right across the hill from us. They come monitor every blast. And the blast that they shoot and put off is stronger than the dynamite blast at the mine site, Austinville Mine, old mine pit out there.
Look, this you stop. Is there a law against making bombs?
I don't know how.
They're probably shooting something called, what is it, tannerite?
You can get it off the internet. I mean, you can order it. It comes in two separate things. You mix it together and compact it, tape it up, and people shoot it, and it blows up.
They must put like 2 or 3 of them together or something. I never seen nothing in my life.
But
when
tannerite, is it
I don't
legal
know.
to own in
Well,
Virginia? I don't know.
I didn't know it was legally, they could ship that stuff, but
I didn't either, sir.
They do.
I don't know nothing about it, but I do know that one. Now they've been over there doing this for several weekends and several years. They've been shooting, but this past year was earlier this spring, late fall, is the first year that they've ever put off these blasts. And I mean, tell you, gentlemen, you have never heard blasts like that. It'll shake a house, shake your windows, shake your glasses and things. And one boy that lives right above us, he come back from service, and he said, man, them mushroom, they putting up mushroom clouds up. And it's scary to look at and very scary to hear, especially close to your home. And I don't know what kind of guns they're shooting. I don't know whether they're legal guns or what, but it's a bunch of them. But I appreciate
We contacted and have ATF look into it. If they're making bombs, Scott will tell you, that would be something that I think ATF would get all over it and would have a lot more authority than any ordinance we'd have. I'm not opposed to the ordinance, but they'd shut it down and maybe clean up the population a little bit all in one day.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, I'll close citizens' time. Next item on our agenda is the minutes of our previous meeting, May the 23rd, 2017, and May the 24th, 2017. I entertain a motion to approve.
Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the 23rd and 24th minutes. Any corrections or changes? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Yeah.
The chair votes aye. Next item on the agenda is payment of invoices. I entertain a motion to pay the invoices.
So moved.
So I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any invoice that any board member would like to question or pull out? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
All right.
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Okay, now we'll move into our public hearing, and I'll read the public hearing. In compliance with the Code of Virginia and amendments thereto, the Wythe County Board of Supervisors will conduct a public hearing to consider ordinance 2017-2 entitled Wythe County Noise Ordinance. The Board of Supervisors will have comments from citizens concerning the proposed ordinance. The public hearing will be held Tuesday, June the 13th, 2017 at 7:05 p.m. in the boardroom of the Wythe County Office Building, 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia. A copy of the proposed ordinance is on file for public viewing in the County Administration's office located at 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia, or online at www.withco.org. And now we'll open, ask Mr. Baird to summarize the ordinance. You want to summarize it or move on into the comments?
Well, I guess we handed out, there were copies in the back for anyone to pick up that they have, so they have them.
Okay.
If you want to just let people address the concerns on it.
Well, now we'll open the floor up for comments from
Right.
citizens.
First name signed up, Mr. Humphrey.
Well, I've already
Good
spoken
evening
twice, but, well, only thing I'll say on the noise ordinance, I guess that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
I was daydreaming for a second there. You know, like I said, I've worked with the noise ordinance all throughout my career, and it works great. Most of the time you go to whatever call you're called on in reference to noise, and you just simply tell the folks, look, it's disturbing the public, and you just judge it from a reasonableness standard. A rational person would, if somebody's watching TV, that's not a violation of the noise ordinance. You know, generally speaking. Incessant barking dogs, that might be a different thing, or like I just said, somebody shooting high velocity rifles off, that is. But most of the time you can just simply go to the people and say, look, we've had complaints. By what I've witnessed, it's validated. Can you just quell it or stop it? Well, most of the time that's it. You can leave, and the people abide by it. What we do in the town, I'm not speaking, as being an official capacity tonight or nothing, but what we do is we have to come back to something like that. What we generally do is write them a summons. I think it's usually about $100 fine. Most of the time, 85-90% of the time, you don't have to do that. It's taken care of. But that definitely gets it taken care of, and and it's also it's revenue. So I think it's a great idea. mainly the shooting, barking dogs, loud music, et cetera, et cetera. And the officers will weed the wheat from the chaff when they go there. That's all I need. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
Next on the list, Mr. Brown.
Good evening, Mr. Brown.
Thank you all for being here. I'm glad I'm here. I'm interested in learning something about the noise ordinance. I don't know too much about it, but it would have a direct impact. I've built with Raceway, and this is 47 years of we've had races, and there is, I know you'll find it hard to believe, but some of the cars actually do run without mufflers and make some noise. So I don't know what kind of impact this would have, but we're fortunate to have the crowds are good, and we've been here so long that we actually have people drive down from Canada for specific races just here because they're entertainment. We're in the entertainment business. The racers are really serious, so we walk a fine line between entertainment and taking care of the races. And some of the things we've done, we have a youth division that starts with kids or children from 12 to 16 that actually drive race cars. I think this adds a lot to safety. They don't have to drive out on the road. They can drive as fast as they want, and they learn a lot. So they have a lot of mechanical skills. The other thing, not only do we have cars, we also have motorcycle races, and they're in Wythe County. I think this year they're probably between 8 and 10 of these are all competition type closed course events, but they draw people from probably 8 to 10 states, and usually they're 2-day affairs, and lots of people come. So it's all of these things do bring a certain amount of revenue into the county. And they also make some noise. And I'm also a commercial hot air balloon pilot. I didn't think about noise, but when you push the burner, it makes a certain degree of noise also. So basically everything that I seem involved with has something to do with noise. And without knowing more about it, I would be opposed to it. I wouldn't say, but from what I read, I didn't see anything that, or I didn't read it close enough to see how it would affect me.
Well,
So
I thought sporting events is exempt.
Yeah, I think you're exempt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sporting events are exempt.
Yes.
I read sporting events, and I was never sure what. Seems to me like years ago they used to have chicken fights, and that was a sporting event. But I don't think it's
If they get loud, we'll stop them too.
so you think we're all right. Thank you very much.
But sporting events is exempt. The racetrack, anything like that, are exempt from the noise ordinance.
Okay, I was hoping so. Thank you very much.
Next person.
All right, third name on here, so as not to embarrass myself and pronounce it wrong. Is it a King at 5033 Wesley Highway? I'm sorry, I just
Sharon.
butchered the name, Sharon.
Sharon.
I probably did not. I was just scrambling. I shouldn't have done that.
No
I should have
problem.
wrote better. I thank you all for your time. And my name is Sharon King from 5033 Wesley Highway. And we do have a nice community where we are at. But it's like the property ordinance. If we nip it in the bud and take care of it, we will have no problem. Because I understand from Mr. Humphrey and the other people, my, what if we had to put up with that? And if you nip that in the bud before it gets started, then you're not going to have no argument, no confusion. You go and it's taken care of by the law enforcement. And there's not going to be no fighting, no hard feelings with each other. And I mean, we're in a community to love each other and help each other and respect each other. And we do not know who's going to move in and out. And there may be somebody coming in at a little haywire. And I shouldn't say that, I'm not judging nobody, that just wants to cause problems and create chaos. And if we nip this in the bud right now, that can't happen. And there will be nobody hurt, no hard feelings between nobody. And I do wish you all would take this in consideration so we won't have a mess like they've got. Because like I said, we do have a nice community where we're at, and I'd like to keep it like that. Without radios going all night long, partying all night long. There should be time for everything. And I do thank you all for your time, for letting me speak, and take this into consideration, please. Thank you.
Ms. King.
That's all I had.
Is anybody else would like to speak on the noise ordinance?
I'm sorry.
Pastor Davis, come on up. You're
I
welcome.
rarely get into these things. John Davis, 325 Mockingbird Lane, Max Meadows. I'm the latest owner of Pikes Peak. The only question that I have no issue with the noise ordinance, and it's a rare thing that as a pastor I get into this. The only thing that I would ask is there any mechanism, or are we relying on the officer's good judgment for those cases in which, because you know as well as I do, there are some people on the other side of it that are unreasonable too. They hear one pop and they're ready to call the law. And that would be my concern with it. I'm fine with noise ordinances in general. But like if me and a buddy get out and sight in our rifles, and we're, to their point, we're in a safe place, nobody's in danger, every applicable law is being met and that kind of thing. If you're as bad a shot as I am, it takes me half afternoon to sight my rifle in, And so I could easily be in violation of a proposed noise ordinance, doing something completely innocent and harmless. So, is the only mechanism to protect just regular folks that aren't trying to cause problems, aren't trying to stir anything up, just the good judgment of the officers, would be my question. Thank you.
Well, there is, if there are a complaint, it is in there that the officer goes and,
Right.
talks to the people. And then if they don't, quieten down or stuff like that, then he can cite them. But there is, there's a judgment for the officer to use
Right.
in the ordinance.
Yeah, I just, on the one hand, I see the value of a noise ordinance. It doesn't much apply to me because I'm out in the middle of nowhere. But I see the value of it, certainly the safety issue that they're discussing and that sort of thing. My only concern is unreasonable people encroaching upon the rights of honest, good people. That'd be my only question. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak during the public comment period? Ms. Shook? State your name and address,
My name
please.
is Berlene Shook. I live at 320 Scap Road. I have grandchildren, and our pool is in the back. And right where the pool is, all the kids have to do is look up the hill, and they can see the shooters. Well, I've got a 2-year-old, Brandy's. And when they were shooting the other day, she was grabbing her head running. They're shooting at me. And that's sad. And I do keep these kids a lot. They are homeschooled. And I'll be having them probably for a while longer. They got a medical thing going on in their family. And this isn't good for children. There's nowhere in my yard they want to be. And when they're in the house, they kind of hunker down on the couch because the shooting is booming so loud in my house from those rifles. And we even got the air conditioner on and the windows rolled up. So again, thank you guys, but we're not trying to cause any trouble. We just want to live peacefully too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shook. Anybody else? Hearing none, I'll close.
Can I speak at it?
Yes, you can speak, Cole.
I don't know whether y'all have forgotten what took place over in Ivanhoe here about a month or so ago. The man decides he wants to blow a siren. He blew the siren for 10 days, day and night. Nothing the sheriff could do. He finally had to go get the Commonwealth attorney to get the judge to sign an order against this man to get it cut off. I also have some citizen that lives down in the lower end of this county. They have one man that lives on they live on a dirt road. They have one man down there, he parties all night long, turns his radio just as wide as he can get it. When the law gets close to him, he cuts it down. How he knows, I can't answer that. But she said they was drinking, cussing, nudity, anything that you're looking for is that these people are afraid to go to sleep at night. He sent a text to her. The man that is doing it sent a text to me, and I'll read you what she told me. It was in that text, and she said the sheriff's department had a copy of this. I will make your life a legal living hell. Now, you know, people shouldn't have to be afraid to live in their own home. It's something we need to think about. Thank you.
Thank you, Coy. Hearing no one else to speak, if any of the board members would like to speak, Coy spoke, I'll entertain that, but we'll close the public hearing. Okay, we'll move on to old business, and we will consider this. And it will put it on to the agenda for the next meeting to be voted on. Unless some board member would like to, if you think you've heard enough and comments and have made your decision, we'll take it up tonight, but we'll take it up later on in the meeting. Okay, we'll move into old business. Calendar year 2017 tax levy. Proposed tax levy, I know we advertised a 4-cent increase in real estate tax and a 10-cent increase in personal property. We've had meetings and budget hearings and discussions, and we have come down to real estate from 49 to 50 cents, personal property from 230. What is it now? 227 to 232. Machine and tools stays the same. Merchant's capital stays the same at 56, and machine and tools $1.50. I would like to explain, as far as, it's called a 2-cent tax increase, but it's really just a 1 cent from 49 to 50. We had a reassessment, and the reassessment value of the county raised 1 penny, and it was mostly on commercial property. So really, as far as individual owners of houses and property, it really is not a change in your tax, except for the 1 cent tax increase from 49 to 50. We had to advertise it as a 2-cent tax increase because if it goes up over 1% value of the county's value, you have to advertise it as a tax increase. If we left it at 49 cents, it would still be considered a tax increase. But we do have the schools renovation. We've renovated most of the county. We have the 3 schools in Wythe to renovate. To renovate them schools, we're going to have to do a tax increase of some type. We proposed and advertised a 4-cent tax increase to do it all at one time. But the board is, and we've not voted on this, and we come to agreement that was consensus to put it at a 2-cent tax increase. But that's what I'm trying to explain now is that's where we've come from, a 4 cents down to a 2 cent. Really, from what we are now, just a 1 cent. And I hope I haven't confused everyone.
Well, for most homeowners, it's
just
basically a
1 cent.
1 cent, or $10 on every $100,000 of value.
And we advertised a 10-cent increase in personal property, which would cut it down to a 5-cent increase. what's on what we'll vote on here in a minute as far as the tax levy. And I'll open, if any board member would like to speak or say anything before we take this matter up.
I'll be the first to speak.
Okay, Coy.
I don't like tax increases no better than anybody else. George Wythe High School needs fixing, and we don't have the money to do it unless we do a little bit of tax increase somewhere. So I'm for it.
Would any other member like to speak?
Well, I'm not going to get in an argument with Coy because we agree on most things. And I agree we need good schools. And I won't be lengthy about it. I just don't like to buy something and not know what we're getting. I don't like to vote a tax increase that we know going in won't cover the debt service. And I believe that's the fact. So,
anybody else? Charlie, Steve, Gary?
I think, as we do the schools, again, the plan was do the county schools and then move into the town. And so we're at the town schools now. And any time that we've had to, throughout the history of Wythe County, I guess, if we've had to increase taxes, to help pay for the schools, I think we have. This is, I'm like everybody else. You say tax increase, I don't like that either. I especially, and I know some of you disagree with me, but I especially don't like the increase on the personal property. But it's a much smaller increase than was advertised, and I don't know how to fund things without more revenue. Now in the future, hopefully, there will be more revenue coming in. So the possibility exists that that this will be enough and won't be tax increases in the future.
I realize that we need to do something for the town of Wytheville schools, of which I'm an alumni of at least one of them. My problem is, for no intent and purposes, knowing what we're going to get. I'm not satisfied that anybody knows that answer yet. If I felt comfortable that it was $10 million would fix the school, I'd vote for it. I don't have that faith right now.
I mean, I will say that the schools have proposed to renovate George Wythe High School, and they've proposed that it's going to cost more than $10 million. They're talking anywhere from around $14 million now. We don't know what we can get for $10 million. We haven't seen. They're just now put out proposals to hire an A&E firm, so we really don't know what we're getting for the amount, the $10 million that we got in the budget for renovation of George Wythe High School. It's not saying that if they come back with something that's more than $10 million or something that's we look at that we think, or I think, or any one of us thinks it's unreasonable, we can vote against giving them the funding the $10 million at that point in time. The budget is just a working document, as an outline until the money is amended and appropriated order. It's not spent. As far as the tax, the 1 cent really tax increase, for the county, I don't like tax increases. I wish faster, or we could generate new revenue, or the state would give us the same tools that cities and towns have, but we don't. I've been fighting that battle in Richmond for the last 3 or 4 years, and hopefully things, I know a 1 cent tax increase is I'm going to say that I'm going to be in favor of the 1 cent tax increase, and hopefully in the future that we can generate more revenue and we won't have to increase taxes next year. But we have to do something to the schools here in Wythe, the high school, the middle school, and I'm not in favor of combining the middle school and high school together. I'm not for new construction. I don't think we need new schools. We have 3 schools here in Wythe that it's in good shape. I mean, they're old buildings, but there are a lot of old buildings around, and they can be renovated. It's not the buildings. You want the most comfortable atmosphere for the kids to learn. Back when we was growing up, we didn't have air conditioning. We didn't have air conditioning in our homes, so it didn't make much difference to us. But now everybody's got air conditioning in their homes. You send your kid to school, they're not used to sitting in a hot building. You got air conditioning in your car, so the schools need to be upgraded, especially technical. I mean, as far as they have to be upgraded, electrical, mechanical, and it's going to cost money. And we've been lucky here in Wythe County. We haven't had a really high tax rate like other counties around us. I mean, a lot of counties around us have a lot higher tax rate than what Wythe County does. And my job is trying to keep it that low. And but sometimes we have to raise it, and that's why I wouldn't, if it would have been a 4 cent tax increase, I wouldn't vote for it. But since it's just a penny, and what we can do from now until next year, hopefully we can generate more revenue that we don't have to do another tax increase. But if it comes down to it, let's do it a little bit at a time and not put it off on everybody at once. And with that being said, if nobody else has anything else to say, I entertain a motion to approve the tax levy. I have a second.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any other comments anyone would like to make before we take a vote?
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, that's to adopt the tax levy as presented. Yes.
Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
No.
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 And chair votes aye. The motion fails on a 4-3 vote. We'll move on with their agenda. Okay, fiscal year 2018 budget. Stephen, you want?
If I would, obviously you have the budget presented in front of you, which, and also the revenue and expenditure reports. Obviously, the revenue reports were calculated off of the tax levy that just failed on the voting and would need to be revised and updated. If you wish to take action on those, I can calculate the numbers here to revise the revenue numbers, the expenditure numbers. If you want those adjusted for any changes, we can do that here at this meeting or June 30th.
We'll delay to the June 30th, but we will set a budget work session because there's going to have to be some changes made in the budget. What is a good evening the week of the 19th through the 23rd? Will anybody be gone that week? Schedule a couple. Do you think one evening will do it?
I would recommend one evening that week, and then if we need to recess again either later that week or the following week, we can do that.
How about Monday the 19th at 5 p.m.?
I have a meeting with the Recreation Department at 6 o'clock that night with Sheffy Boosters, but if I need to reschedule that, I could. Tuesday night is free if that's available.
Tuesday night the 20th at 5. Does anybody have any problems with that?
You said at 5.
Okay.
Send an email.
Yes, Martha will send us an email out.
Even though we have something else scheduled for the 20th.
Not that I know of.
The plans are due to us on the 20th.
All right,
Is that
okay.
what you're thinking of?
I just had a red flag on the 20th, didn't know what the flag said.
That's the only red flag I know of.
All right, but 20th at what time?
20th at 5 p.m. And remind me not to adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that takes us out of old business. We'll go into new business, Building and Grounds Committee report.
Building and Grounds Committee met on June the 6th. Proceed with Baker Construction Services for Wythe County Appalachian Regional Expo Center rough grading contract 1 modification to drill and shoot rock 2.5 feet below elevation. As part of this, Stephen, should be this is a no cost.
Yeah, actually, there was a proposal from Baker Construction to do this, and the time frame was very tight to do so. We presented Buildings and Grounds Committee, and there was a $90-some per cubic foot cost that they were charging us to do this. There is some question came up as to where the rock was located within the footprint of the building, and some areas with the footers and the depth of the footers and protections, it may need to go down 8 feet or so in those areas instead of the 2.5 feet. So we did not have that information on Tuesday when this committee met this recommendation. We did discuss this in the Economic Development Committee 2 days later because we had additional time and we had additional information from the Lane Group at that time. And the Economic Development Committee agrees that we should not proceed with this at this point in time because we're uncertain how deep the rock needs to go. We did not get a favorable price from Baker Construction to do this. So while this comes as a recommendation from the committee to do this, the recommendation from staff and from the Economic Development Committee is to not proceed with doing this.
But under the building and ground, there's no action needed. We're just going to tell them to do what they were originally contracted to do.
We're just going to take it down to the
So no action needed.
So no action needed.
Let's vote with economic development next.
Yep, Economic Development Committee report.
Also met on June 8th and 2 recommendations: increase Virginia Industrial Advancement Alliance per capita assessment to 1.25 or $1.25 contingent upon the Alliance's agreement to place Progress Park at the top of the list of shovel-ready sites on their website and more frequent rotation of the other in the site order. That's one. And Stephen, would you explain, please,
let's take up one first.
Well, what the Alliance does?
Well, you want to give
Yeah, the Virginia Industrial Advancement Alliance is our regional industrial recruiting and marketing group. Mr. Lewis spoke to you all at our meeting, previous meeting. As you can tell, he is out marketing our area well, attending shows, focusing on those trade sectors that are important coming into us, and works closely with VEDP and has worked with them and himself on bringing us certain sites for consideration. This alliance is made up of Carroll County, Grayson County, Wythe County, Bland County, Smith County, Washington County, the city of Bristol, and the city of Gateway. The city of Bristol and Washington County have elected to come out of this organization. They are trying to do the work upon themselves and not working with this organization. The request is to increase it, and it does not state this on here, but basically current assessment is at $1. This would increase the assessment to $1.25 per capita.
Okay, coming from committee, it doesn't need a second. Does any board member have any other questions? Hear none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Motion passes.
Item 2 is acceptance, or partial acceptance really, of a proposal from the Lane Group to make a change in the architectural structure for the Expo Center that will, the committee feels clearly it'll be an overall cost reduction of significant dollars in the building of the building. And their proposal recommended by a committee member to offer them half of their fee that they asked for. Mr. Bayer, have you communicated that with them, and did they accept half of what they asked for?
I told them that was our recommendation, and that was what the board would be considering and taking action upon tonight.
So it's a $1,500 change
Change.
to improve the overall cost, to reduce the overall cost of the structure.
Okay, coming from committee, it doesn't need a second. Any more further questions or discussion? Hear none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 No.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes 6-1. Okay, Mr. Vaughn, you give us an update on the grading at Apex Center?
I love consistency.
Martha, just a picture for y'all to look at. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. That way I don't have to speak so much. But everything in green is at grade, grassed in, or recently seeded and strawed to stabilize. So you can see how close we are. They're working primarily now. Y'all just talked about the shot rock at the building pad. You can go out there and look in the pad. We changed that, remember, early on to excavate out the arena floor area. You can actually see where the arena floor area is. Joe, you've been out there in the last day or so. So you can get a real good visual, and then where the stands and the rest of the building will be. So they're working around that area now. So as soon as they get through with that, they'll be able to stabilize that. They're down on the other area. They're on the north side, which is to the right of that picture. That's the lower parking area, grass where the cul-de-sac comes, where the road goes in, is proposed to terminate at this time. That's your lower parking area. They're putting topsoil on that now and bringing that up to grade. So within a few days, depending on all these thunderstorms we're supposed to get and what happened today, I haven't been out there this afternoon to see what the impact has been, but they'll get that stabilized, seeded, and graded in. Just to the north of that area and right above that number 1 pond, there's some concrete ditch that needs to go in. The drainage structure for that area, it was finished today. They put the pipes in. and then they need to run a diversion ditch back up to the other, which is the soccer field. So once they get those structures in the next week or two, they're going to just imagine they're kind of going to be backing themselves out of the site so they don't disturb what they've completed. And that leaves the road, and we've had several discussions and some engineer field directives on how we're going to handle that road. The soil's not so good in a couple places because it was an old burn pit at one time, so we've got to do some undercut and work there. We're working with that. But if you go out there today, you saw the hammer out there and where they shot that rock last Friday. They're making little rocks out of big rocks, so we should be able to use a lot of that. We might even use it in the subgrade because we got it on hand. It'd be less material we have to buy. So you could probably figure they're, 75–80%, and they're getting really close on the building pad. And we'll start to work our way out. We're going to get a couple of proposals on some gravel, some aggregate to finish that road, because as soon as you award number 2, construction equipment, people are going to start moving in and out of there. You don't want to tear up what you built, so you're going to stabilize it. So for all intents and purposes, there should be a durable road surface when we get through backing out, with a couple more proposals from the contractor and our others. So we're real close.
Will you give us an update on DEQ?
That's why DEQ
Because,
come today.
I mean,
DEQ's purpose today was to progress on the consent order Appendix A status. And although the inspector that came, Mr. McCroskey, he's a checklist checker. He's not the decision maker. It goes back to his bosses in Abington, and they go to Richmond. However, I got a warm fuzzy when he said, if we had been where we are today, back when, we'd be okay. Take that for what it's worth.
So, I mean, did you
looks
see
good.
the checklist? I mean, he did it because I know we've
He took
paid the fine
pictures.
and.
Yeah, he took pictures. He'll do the checklist when he gets back to the office, pretty much, or he might have sat in the truck when he finished walking. He did walk around the rest of the site and made some off-the-record comments to the contractor, like, do this, straighten that up, maybe a little bit here. But for what he was here for, the purpose was to do the Appendix A. The 2 things that were on that list today was the completion of the ponds, primarily number 5 and number 6, the 18 inches that were lacking on number 4 there in the corner on the berm, because we had to pull it back from the stream a little bit, and then the real slopes where the slope drains are. Now, 2 of those slope drains disappeared in the last 3 days because the drainage pipes were installed where the slope drains are. That's why we had to put the slope drains in. The pipes weren't installed. So I think he had a warm fuzzy. He said, again, if we had been where we are today, a few months ago, we'd be okay. So I took that as a good comment without him actually saying yay or nay, because he'll let his bosses make those determinations based on his checklist report.
So approximately when will we know whether we're in compliance?
And based on previous history, it's usually within a week I get a letter. Well, I would say by this time next week.
If we're not, what happens next?
Then we would be in violation of the consent order, and they would be.
Okay.
That's why Mr. Vaughn has worked very diligently with the contractor to make certain, and the biggest issues that were left were ponds 5 and pond 6. Make certain they were in, the structures were in, the slope drains were in, and they worked some workarounds through in the process until they could get some final slope drains in, because you never knew when you might be inspected and you had to have it functioning until that point.
Bill, on the shot rock, do you have any idea how much area is that soft burn pit? And my question is, can we take that unsuitable material out and put this free shot rock back in there as a lift, and then build on up to grade with good material that we've got?
Yes, sir. Had that discussion this afternoon with the contractor. Yes.
And it's a short haul.
Yep. And right now we're looking at 600 feet. It may be a little bit more. If you're out there right on that corner where you go over that slope that they haven't finished yet, next to that little pond that sticks out, number 6. Every time the pans would go by, you could watch the soil pumping. It would just lift and go down. So we know that we've got a little more probably material we have stabilized, but plan is now we're going to use what we got on site until it runs out.
You feel like there's enough shot rock there to put a 2-foot lift in there?
Probably not, but we're going to use all we can to save costs right now.
One last thing, how near are they completing the arena slot and the daylighting so that thing will drain?
The daylighting, other than where the shot rock was in the corner, is pretty much at grade. You can go out there and see it today. They've worked real good the last 2 days on that. The arena floor you're talking about, and then over there next to it where the stables and all will be in the horse ring, that's at grade. So
But in the indoor arena part, it's going to be left so it will drain.
yeah, it's going to have to drain out that daylighted in, and it will go right towards that pond 6 where the swale, the bioretention swale will eventually be. I haven't seen Mr. Spickert's Phase 2 stormwater plan yet. I understand there's a lot of discussions, but we put the number 6 in based on the change he gave us a few months ago. I anticipate it'll stay, but right now it's there. Everything's supposed to drain to that point in that area that you're talking about, so we'll be okay.
Well, the next phase is going to need a lay-down area. You're going to put the road in down there to the cul-de-sac with gravel.
Not to the cul-de-sac. I was thinking earlier today the laydown area would probably be more beneficial over where the stable site in the arena area would be right now. Of course, the new contractor would have to restore it back when he's done, but that's right next to the building, and we wouldn't have to run the extra road down over the hill to the cul-de-sac.
Well, the other thought I had was, will its schedule work right for us to use the handicap parking area as a staging site? Get that packed, get all that traffic on it, stabilize that handicap area, because we don't have paving in it now anyway, do we?
Right, no, well, not in this contract.
Right.
Yeah, the handicap area you're talking about is that lower area on the white right there.
Hmm.
It's all construction and sequencing. So if we want to sequence it that way, we'll talk to Mr. Spickert and have him do that. They could very easily use that as part of laydown. I got a feeling when they get there, they're going to use all around it in a circle anyway for laydown. So.
Well, I mean, where the rent and the barns is going to be.
It's green right there now. Well, see the
I know
white section, everything north
where
of
the
it.
green is at, but they may be, the barns may be out to bid at the same time or a little later, and may start construction at the same
Well, then
time.
that'll change where we can use for laydown there. They'll use that for barn construction laydown, but it won't help with the rest of the building.
This is an experience thing. If we take our contractors out there for the architectural part, for the building part, if they can drive right up there on gravel and it looks good, we're going to save money. If they've got to walk down there and it happens to be muddy, we're going to lose money. So let's try to have some way to get them to the site.
The plan right now, in all discussions, is to get that road gravelled in all the way up to that number 6 pond.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, Stephen, you want to go over the sheriff's office compression-based pay increase?
Yes, just provided that for information to you. The comp board has approved the compression pay increases. As it says there, there'll be pay raise will provide $80 per full year of non-interrupted service in a compensation board funded position for sworn deputies, regional jail officers, but we're talking only about deputies here, with 3 or more years of service up to a maximum of 30 years of service. So if you've got 10 years of service and it's $80, your salary will increase $800, and that'll be added to your base salary from now on. $65 per full year for non-sworn positions, some of their office positions in there. Those numbers we got from the state on last week and have been worked into the draft budget right now. Update the salary schedules.
Okay. Appalachian Power.
Appalachian Power is for information purposes only. They have released this, and it has to go out to all the counties and everyone. Basically, they filed with the State Corporation Commission their integrated resource plan. So just provide it for informational purposes only.
Okay. Okay, we'll go under other. I have one item under other. VACO regional, Region 12 and Region 13 will be meeting on the 29th at Washington County Governmental Complex at 6 p.m. I invite everybody to attend. I know I'll be going and Mr. Hale will be going. I am the Region 12 representative on the board of directors. So, but we had a good meeting last fall. We had it in Lebanon. We had a lot of our senators and congressmen come out and participate in the meeting. It was a very good meeting, and I'll encourage everyone that can attend to let me know, and we'll be going. Does anybody else have anything under other?
Tim, I'd like to add to that. Since we've got the time, I'd also encourage some of you guys to try to make a schedule to go. Tim and I went to Lebanon, and there were some counties, our neighboring counties, weren't represented at all over there. Sort of similar when we go to VDOT to beg and plead. That a lot of these counties don't send anybody. And those southwest counties in the coal fields and the edge of the coal fields, they turned out, I think Russell County hired extra people just to have more people at that meeting, but they had like 60 people there, didn't they? And this is a good organization in the Baycor regional thing. We don't have to hear what's going on in Fairfax and Hampton. We can talk about what's going on here. So I'd encourage everybody to go with us.
And I'll remind everybody, I encourage everybody to have the steering committees, which Joe is on transportation, and Charlie's on which one?
Economic development.
Economic development, and I'm on the environmental and agriculture steering committee. And like I said, I am the Region 12 representative on the board of directors of VACO. Being that said, any other board member have anything?
Let's decide whether we're going to handle this ordinance tonight. My recommendation is that we discuss and a rare occasion want to vote on the ordinance.
Okay, if that's would be the board's pleasure, you want to make a motion to adopt, we'll make a motion and then we'll go into discussion.
Yeah, we had one drafted before and it had some problems. I think, Scott, we are more clarified now. Is that correct? And we've protected everybody we feel needs to be protected. And because of this urgency of these two, I don't know whether they're rifle clubs or organizations or invading hoodlums, but I don't want to put it off. Let's give the sheriff's department so they'll do their job.
Are you making a motion?
I'm making a motion to adopt
ordinance 2017-2.
I am.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Now I have the floor up for discussion.
Let me call it back up here just a second.
Does it?
Does this pertain to the shooting? Is it covered by this?
Depends on the frequency.
It's the noise and whether or not that's a sporting event or not. Argument. The noise is clear. It's a noise that's plainly audible 50 feet from the side or within the wall of the home. Doesn't make it wrong. Whether or not that would be considered a sporting event, we don't know.
You know,
It's not a motorcycle race.
no, and it's not a car race or a football game. I mean, it's
It's not open to public, to me, it's not a sport.
well, and if it's not a competition, I mean, that's been advertised and out, like I said, to the public, I don't consider it a sporting event. To me, it's privately run on somebody's land.
But, and I agree that we need to have something that addresses this, but we also need to make sure that this does. I'm trying to find the part that would, because I mean I don't want us to adopt something and then it not help, because under Section 2 prohibited conduct, it's operate or play any radio, phonograph, television, or other machine or device capable of producing or reproducing sound. So, is producing sound, is that what the gunfire is?
The gunfire and explosions are producing sound.
Okay, well, I mean, I just want to make sure that we've got something that legally will cover. The gist of that really is like, music and things that are designed to to play music or record music and play it loudly and everything. So, Mr. Farthing, does that include? Would that? Okay, so that would include. So we're all right with that. Okay.
So in other words, any machine or device, because everything is going to make some kind of noise.
Right. So if you're chopping corn and the neighbor complains, you could be in violation of the ordinance. Would that make, I don't know if that makes a lot of noise or not. It ain't quiet. If you're going along the property line beside my house and it's 50 feet away, I can go make a complaint and have you come, have the sheriff come out and say, stop chopping corn next to my house, you're violating the ordinance.
Well, and like I said, Ann, I'm just.
You're getting out into the weeds.
Well, I know, but I mean, even I mentioned last time, the weaning cattle, because we've got in here specifically to allow an animal or a bird to create noise that's plainly audible at least once a minute for 10 consecutive minutes, and sometimes they do. But by the time I think that can easily be explained to to an officer.
Well, I mean, to me it can't, but
I mean, how?
Weaning cattle, cattle they may bawl for 10 consecutive days.
Well, I understand. I mean, we just need to be aware of.
Scott, let's go back to chopper. It's not unreasonable that the officer could go out there and say, would you not chop at 10 o'clock at night, chop at 10 o'clock in the day, and the problem goes away. There needs to be some common sense here and not get too far into the weeds.
Well,
I can partially agree with that, Joe, but if I've got help to chop corn, then I'm chopping corn.
Well, you're hard-headed, and you live in Speedway.
Well, this restricts it from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Lawn care.
That's lawn care.
Lawn care, leaf removal, gardening, treatment. So we have our timbering activities. I mean, so we've got everything except farming. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I want to ask, who has ever complained on somebody chopping corn?
I'm just asking.
I mean,
I mean, that one came up as a side note. I was more worried about whether or not it even covered the shooting problem.
Gary, I think the machine part gives you some help for farmers, because we get a lot of complaints about feedlots. A cow is not a machine.
No, but it's an animal.
And that's part of it.
I mean, I'll vote yes on this thing. I'm just,
You're just having fun, huh? Cool.
No. It's just that sometimes when things are written,
I mean,
the way they're written is not always the same way that everybody perceives them to be written.
I mean, that's everything.
Why it took 3 years to get a Constitution.
We try to do the best outline we can do on a noise ordinance to be fair to everyone. I mean, we can sit here and come with all kinds of situations.
The animal thing, I understand, but I was wanting to make sure that the guns were covered in that, because there's no reason to do this with this in mind if it does not address that. And so, if it's a machine, it does.
Okay.
What about, say, like an industry in the industrial park that could be heard from a house? Are they in violation of it if you live down the road from this industry?
Yes. If you're within 50 feet and it's plainly audible, you're in violation.
And there's a solution for that. Mm-hmm. If it's an industry pop, and like BDOT builds millions of dollars worth of sound walls.
Right.
Yeah, but don't we already have on Progress Park covenants? So Any more comments? Hear none, we'll take a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
All right.
I complain about it, saying not that they were opposed to it, so I'll vote aye.
And the chair votes aye. Ordinance passes 7 with 1 no. 6 with 1 no. Okay, is there anything else to come for the board at this time tonight?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, but I will remind you to recess.
Okay, I forgot what was the date?
June 20th.
June 20th. We'll recess until June 20th at 5 p.m.